This story begins deep in the wild. A lion cub's desperate cry cuts through the savanna air, echoing like a call for help no one can ignore. Lightning forks above the plains, turning the tall grass into a trembling sea of silver. The night smells of rain and fear. You hear the cry again, thin, broken, and fading fast. Somewhere beyond the acacia trees, something small is fighting to stay alive. In this unforgiving land, survival is never guaranteed. So before we dive in, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy these emotional stories. Comment below your favorite animal, the one you'd protect no matter what. The wind howls against the hollowed cliffs as you pad forward, paws sinking into the wet soil. You are a stray dog, once belonging to a distant village, now drowned by drought. Hunger gnaws at your ribs, yet something stronger pushes you on. Instinct, maybe, or something close to mercy. The cry grows louder. It's not prey you're tracking, it's fear itself. Then you see it. A tiny lion cub, no bigger than your foreleg, tangled in a tangle of thorns. Its golden coat is streaked with mud. Its sides shudder with every ragged breath. The mother is nowhere in sight, only the scent of blood and panic. A hyena laughs in the distance, the cruel punctuation of the wild. You lower your head, nose brushing the cub's fur. It flinches, expecting teeth. Instead, you nudge gently, snapping the thorns one by one until the little body is free. The cub collapses against your chest, trusting you without reason. A moment later, thunder cracks like the sky itself has broken, and sheets of rain pour down. There is no time to think. You grip the cub by the scruff and run. Each stride sends water splashing high as lightning guides your way. Behind you, shadows move, eyes reflecting pale in the stormlight. Predators, the savanna smells of opportunity and death. You find an abandoned termite mound and burrow inside, curling your body around the cub to block the wind. The cub's heartbeat flutters against your side, fast and fragile. For hours you stay awake, listening to the storm tear across the plains. Somewhere beyond the thunder a deeper sound answers, a lion's roar, distant but commanding. The cub stirs, recognizing it. You glance toward the dark horizon, wondering if the mother still searches, or if that roar belongs to something else entirely. As dawn bleeds into the clouds, the rain fades to a whisper. The cub opens its eyes, blinking at the pale light. You've made it through the night, two creatures who should have been enemies, bound instead by a single choice, compassion. But in the tall grass outside, something stirred. The morning arrives heavy with mist, the air thick with the scent of wet earth and acacia sap. You step from the shelter cautiously, your fur slicked down by dew. The lion cub stumbles beside you, blinking at a world that feels both endless and hostile. Somewhere in the distance, vultures circle low, a grim reminder that life here is borrowed, not owned. You pause to listen. The storm has washed away every familiar sound except the faint rustle of creatures reclaiming the dawn. Your stomach growls. The cub whimpers. Hunger, sharp and merciless, unites you both in silence. You find a patch of soft ground near a broken log and dig, revealing a nest of field mice. Quick as instinct, you catch one. The cub watches, wide-eyed, as you drop it at his paws. He sniffs, hesitant, then takes a clumsy bite. His teeth are small, but the effort is fierce. You watch him eat, your own hunger forgotten for the moment. That's when something changes. A flicker of understanding between two species who should never meet this way. For days you travel together. You share shade beneath the same thorn tree, water from the same muddy pool. The cub grows steadier on his legs, playful even, biting your tail as if testing his courage. You grow patient, letting him learn. At night, when the sky burns with stars, he curls against your side, purring softly, dreaming of a pride he no longer remembers. Each dawn brings new threats. A pack of jackals trails your scent one morning, drawn by weakness. You turn, teeth bared, heart pounding like a drum. The cub hides behind you, trembling. You charge, snarling, driving the scavengers back into the brush. They retreat, but not before one delivers a haunting cry, a promise that they will remember you. That night you limp back to your den, a shallow gash on your shoulder. The cub licks the wound, his small tongue rough but careful. The pain eases, replaced by something unfamiliar, trust. The savannah teaches through hardship. You learn that lions, even young ones, are curious hunters. He stalks beetles and grasshoppers, learning to move low and silent. You watch him mimic the wind, his golden fur melting into the tall grass. Survival, it seems, is in his blood. One evening, as the sun bleeds red across the horizon, you hear a sound that chills you, the low, rolling growl of a lioness not far away. The cub freezes, ears twitching. You both listen. The growl fades, carried away by distance. Was it his mother? Or another who would see you as a rival, not a savior? You don't move until the stars reclaim the sky. The cub presses close, eyes half closed. You can't tell if he's afraid or simply tired. Either way, you know the truth. His world and yours will one day pull him in opposite directions. But for now, under the cold shimmer of the Milky Way, you are his guardian, and he your reason to fight another day. Outside the den, a faint rumble grows, a reminder that the wild never sleeps. Days turned into weeks, and the savannah slowly shed its scars from the storm. The grass began to stand tall again, and the rivers, though still muddy, carried life along their banks. You and the cub had found a rhythm, a fragile, unspoken language between species that shouldn't have understood each other. Every sunrise began the same way. You wake to the weight of the cub's paw across your back, his soft growl rising into a morning yawn. The air is cool, but the first streaks of gold promise heat. Together, you set off to forage, to learn, to survive. You teach him what you know, how to read the wind, how to sense danger by the rhythm of the birds. When the guinea fowl falls silent, it means a predator lurks nearby. When the grass bends one way while the air moves another, a storm is coming. The cub listens, eyes wide and intelligent, his tail flicking in quiet imitation. He teaches you too. When he crouches low and moves through the tall grass, you notice how every motion is deliberate, patient. He moves like the earth itself, silent and calculating. You realize that his instincts are sharper than any lesson you could give. Once you watch him pounce on a startled hare, clumsy but determined. He doesn't catch it, but for the first time you see the faint echo of the king he might one day become. You find small victories together, a shared meal, a narrow escape from a crocodile lurking near the watering hole, a night spent listening to the thunder roll over distant hills. The cub's playful roars grow stronger, more confident. Sometimes they echo across the valley, and you swear they sound like laughter. But the savannah has a cruel memory. Predators never forget weakness. One afternoon, as the sun sinks low and the air hums with heat, a shadow moves on the ridge. You sense it before you see it, a shape too large, too quiet. A leopard. It moves like liquid fire, eyes fixed on the cub. Your muscles tense. The cub is too far ahead, chasing a butterfly through the reeds. Without hesitation, you bark, a sharp, desperate warning that splits the air. The cub freezes. The leopard lunges. You throw yourself between them, teeth flashing, heart roaring in your chest. The leopard swipes, claws cutting a thin line across your muzzle. Pain sears through you, but you stand firm. The predator pauses, gauging your defiance. For one tense heartbeat, the savannah holds its breath. Then with a snarl, the leopard retreats into the dusk. The cub rushes to your side, pressing his head against your neck. Your blood stains his fur, but he doesn't care. In that moment, something unbreakable forms between you, not just survival, but devotion. That night, you both lie under a sky washed clean by starlight. The cub falls asleep with his paw resting on yours. You stare at the horizon, knowing the wild will test you again, harder each time. And somewhere out there, unseen among the whispering grass, another predator watches. Morning light drips across the plain like melted gold. You move carefully through the reeds, every sense awake. The cub, no longer so small, bounds beside you, his paws silent but confident. He's learning the rhythm of the savannah, and you somehow are learning the rhythm of him. The air feels different today, still, waiting. Even the insects have gone quiet. You pause, nose twitching, and catch a scent that doesn't belong. Smoke, oil, And something metallic. Humans, you've known them before, shouting voices, thundersticks, strange smells that make animals vanish. You guide the cub back into the shade, but it's too late. The rumble of an engine rolls over the valley, and through the shimmer of heat you see them, rangers in dusty uniforms, scanning the horizon from their jeep. They aren't poachers. You can tell by their pace, by the calm authority in their movement. They stop near the riverbank, kneeling to study the mud. One of them points, tracing a circle in the damp earth. You follow their gaze and realize what they've found. The cub's prints, larger now, unmistakably feline. The man speaks softly. His voice carries just enough for you to hear. "Lions, this close to the village again," he says. "We'll have to alert the reserve." You crouch lower, heart pounding. They aren't looking for you. They're looking for him. That night, you lead the cub far from the river into an abandoned stretch of savanna where the grass grows wild and untamed. He senses your unease but doesn't understand. When he nudges your shoulder, you can't explain that the very creatures who might help him are also those who would take him away. As days pass, you notice more signs of their presence. Boot prints near the watering hole, the faint smell of fuel carried on the wind. The rangers are searching systematically now. You know what will happen if they find him. A tranquilizer dart, a cage, the metallic hum of engines carrying him far from the only life he's known. Still, danger comes not only from men. One afternoon, as you watch the cub practice stalking a herd of impalas, a dry crack splits the air. A rifle shot. The impalas scatter. You drop to the ground, ears ringing, and see a distant figure lowering his weapon. Not a ranger poacher. The cub bolts toward the sound, instincts urging him to chase. You intercept, knocking him flat, forcing him into the tall grass. The shot wasn't meant for him, not yet, but it will be if you don't move. You drag him away from the clearing, paws thudding against the ground. That night, fire flickers far off on the horizon. The cub watches it, his amber eyes glowing like the flames themselves. That's danger, you seem to tell him without words. The kind that doesn't sleep. When dawn breaks, you see the rangers again, this time closer, marking trees with bright red cloth. They're expanding the boundary of the reserve. You realize something inevitable. Soon, this place will no longer be home. You nudge the cub forward, deeper into the unknown. Somewhere beyond the next ridge, he'll have to learn what it means to be a lion. But not yet. In the distance, a single gunshot echoes again, fainter this time, but enough to remind you, the wild is changing, and not for the better. Weeks drift by, and the cub grows taller, stronger, wilder. His shoulders begin to ripple with muscle, his once playful paws now heavy enough to shake the earth beneath him. When you watch him walk through the grass, head low, tail swaying, you see the faint shadow of the lion he's destined to become. And with every passing day, you feel the distance widening, not in steps, but in instinct. He still follows you when you hunt for small game, but now he's distracted by distant roars, lions calling to each other across the valley. Sometimes he stops and stares toward the horizon, nostrils flaring, as if hearing something older than memory. You nudge him forward, but the hesitation in his eyes tells you he's beginning to understand what he is. And what you are not. The land itself feels caught between two worlds. The rains have ended, leaving the river cracked and shallow. The herds move north, and with them go the safety of numbers. You both must travel farther each day to find food. One night, under the cold light of the half-moon, you spot movement. 3 young lions on the ridge, watching. They're not from his past, but they could be his future. They descend slowly, their movements elegant and dangerous. The cub stiffens beside you, ears twitching. The largest of the 3 growls, a low rumble that vibrates through the ground. You step in front of the cub, your throat tight with defiance. The lead lion circles, curious. He sniffs the air, confused by the mingled scent of dog and lion. The cub takes a step forward, uncertain. The leader growls again, a warning, not yet a challenge. Then the moment breaks. The young lions retreat, disappearing into the darkness. The cub stays frozen, torn between chasing after them and staying by your side. You don't move, only watch as his gaze lingers long after they've gone. That night he doesn't curl up beside you. He sleeps a few feet away, staring into the dark. His tail flicks restlessly. You feel the chill of that distance like a wound. Days later, the separation grows. He begins to wander farther from camp, chasing scents that draw him deeper into the wild. Once you find him at the edge of a ravine, watching a lioness drinking below. She lifts her head, meeting his eyes, then disappears into the brush. The cub trembles, not from fear, but recognition. You know what's coming. Nature has been whispering it all along. You've kept him alive, taught him to survive, but you cannot teach him to stay. That evening you share your last meal together, a rabbit caught near the riverbank. The sun sets in a wash of orange and violet, painting the cub's mane with firelight. He looks at you once, a silent goodbye flickering in his eyes. Then from somewhere deep in the savannah, a roar answers. His head lifts, his ears turn, and as night falls over the plain, he takes a step toward that sound. You watch him vanish into the tall grass, his golden fur swallowed by the dusk. But the silence that follows isn't peace, it's a promise. One that the wild isn't finished with either of you yet. The seasons change again. The dry wind that once burned the plains begins to soften, carrying the scent of rain. The sky darkens earlier each evening, clouds swelling over the horizon like bruises. You sense it before it comes, the rhythm of thunder, the restless hum of the savannah before a storm. You've grown slower now. Your muzzle is streaked with gray, and the easy sprint you once had has turned into a cautious trot. The cub, no, the lion, it hasn't returned. Not yet. But sometimes, on quiet nights, you hear distant roars rolling through the valleys, and you imagine one of them belongs to him. The first drops fall heavy and fast. Within hours, the streams overflow. By morning, the sky is a roaring ocean, the world painted in gray. You seek shelter near an old baobab, the same tree where you once shared shade with the cub. But the ground beneath it has changed. What was once solid earth is now a riverbed, churning with brown water. You spot movement in the distance, antelope, warthogs, even jackals, all fleeing in the same direction. The flood is coming fast, sweeping across the land like vengeance. You turn to run, your paws sinking into the mud, your breath ragged. Then you hear it, a sound so faint it nearly disappears in the thunder, a cry. Not the cub's, not anymore, but something small, helpless. You stop. Every instinct screams to keep running, to survive, yet something deeper roots you in place, memory. A night long ago, a storm like this, a cry in the dark. You turn back. Through the sheets of rain, you find the source. A small animal clinging to a broken root, half submerged. A jackal pup, no older than a few weeks, whimpering as the water rises. You bite down on the branch beside it, tugging hard until it snaps free, and drag the pup to higher ground. The current fights you, pulling at your legs, but you don't stop. You can't. Lightning flashes, and for a split second you see a reflection in the water, a lion's face beside yours, imagined but clear. It's as if the cub you once saved is watching, guiding you through the storm. By the time you reach the ridge, your strength is nearly gone. You collapse beside the pup, chest heaving, rain pouring down your muzzle. The world is a blur of water and sound. The pup nuzzles close, trembling. You stay still, shielding it with what warmth you have left. The storm rages through the night. You drift in and out of sleep, flashes of memory flickering like lightning. The cub's first steps, his laughter like roar, his golden eyes looking back one last time. When dawn finally breaks, the land is unrecognizable. Trees uprooted, nests washed away, silence thick as fog. You lift your head weakly. The jackal pup is safe, alive. And from far across the valley, cutting through the hush of aftermath, comes a deep, familiar sound. A roar. Not just any roar, his, but it's closer than it's ever been, and getting closer still. The roar rolls across the drenched plain like thunder reborn. You lift your head, heart stumbling in your chest. The sound feels impossibly close, as if the sky itself remembers him. The jackal pup stirs at your side, blinking at the grey morning, unaware that the world has just changed. You rise shakily to your feet. The floodwater still licks at the lowlands, glinting with the pale light of dawn. Steam rises from the wet earth as the sun pushes through the clouds. Somewhere beyond the mist, another roar answers, deeper this time, more resonant. Not a lone lion, a pride. You stare toward the horizon, where the grass ripples like an ocean. You want to believe that he's among them, that the small cub who once stumbled over roots and slept beneath your paw has become one of the voices echoing through the hills. But you can't know for sure. The flood has erased every trail, every familiar scent. The land feels empty of him, yet full of his presence. You spend the next few days wandering the newly changed terrain. The old den beneath the baobab is gone, swallowed by the river. The termite mound that once sheltered you both is nothing but mud. The savannah has reclaimed every sign of your time together. The jackal pup follows you now, limping at first, then stronger each day. You don't name it, but you recognize the same fear and wonder you once saw in the lion cub's eyes. Perhaps saving it was never just survival. Perhaps it was the circle returning. One evening, you reach a ridge overlooking the valley. The world is quiet, except for the wind sighing through the reeds. The air tastes of wet dust and promise. You sit there as the sun sinks, painting the sky in streaks of copper and rose. Then movement. Shadows in the tall grass below, lions, 5, maybe 6. They walk with the slow, deliberate grace of rulers. You crouch, watching from afar. A large male leads them, his mane thick and gold, his stride powerful but calm. For a moment he turns his head. The angle catches the light just right, and you see his eyes, amber, familiar. He stops. The others keep moving, but he remains still, facing your direction. It's too far for him to see you clearly, yet somehow he knows. His tail flicks once, slowly. You feel something like recognition ripple through the distance between you. You want to bark, to call out, but the sound catches in your throat. He lets out a low, rolling growl, not a threat, not a warning, but something softer, a memory-made sound. Then with a final glance, he turns and follows his pride into the fading light. You stay there long after they vanish, the silence pressing against your chest. The pup curls at your feet, small and warm. You lower your head and breathe. He's gone, yes, but not lost. The wild has taken him, as it always meant to. And in that vast emptiness, you feel no grief, only peace. Because somewhere out there, under the same endless sky, your cub walks as a king. But even kings remember where their hearts began. Time softens even the sharpest edges of memory. Seasons have turned over and over, carving quiet years into your life. The jackal pup you once saved has long grown and gone, claimed by the same wild rhythm that takes everything back eventually. You remain near the edges of the reserve, living in the quiet company of your own shadow, content to watch the sun rise and fall across the same stretch of land that once held all your stories. The humans came not long after the Great Flood. They built fences, lodges, trails. They brought tourists with cameras and soft voices. Some nights, you hear their laughter echoing from the hills. They don't notice you anymore. To them, you're just an old stray wandering the perimeter, a ghost of a forgotten time. Your muzzle is white now, your hearing faded to the low hum of wind and insects. Still, you keep to your habits. You visit the same watering hole at dawn. You rest beneath the same acacia at dusk. The nights are cooler now, quieter. You dream less of storms and more of warmth, the sound of a cub's purr pressed against your chest. Then one morning before sunrise, you wake to a sound you can't mistake. Deep, rolling, familiar, a roar that shakes the air around you. You freeze. The world seems to hold its breath. Another roar answers, closer, stronger. You rise slowly, joints stiff but heart-hammering. The sound comes from beyond the ridge, near the old cabin that the rangers abandoned years ago. You move toward it, every step heavy with disbelief. The earth feels alive beneath your paws. When you crest the ridge, dawn is breaking, painting the valley in gold. And there, standing near the cabin's entrance, is a shape that stops time itself. A lion, massive, his mane glows like fire in the morning light. Around him move others. Lionesses, cubs tumbling through the grass, a living legacy. But he stands apart, facing the cabin door, as though drawn by something unseen. Then for the first time he turns. His eyes find you. Amber, clear, the same eyes that once blinked up at you from a tangle of thorns in the rain. You don't move. Neither does he. The air between you hums with recognition older than words. He steps forward, slow, measured until only a few paces separate you. His breath ruffles your fur, warm and steady. You lower your head in respect, and he does the same, a silent acknowledgement of a bond that time could not erase. Behind him the pride watches in stillness. The cubs whisper small roars, uncertain but curious. The great lion lets out a low, resonant sound, not a roar, but something gentler. A greeting, a promise. You close your eyes, letting the sound wash over you like sunlight. When you open them again, he's turning away, leading his pride into the tall grass. The wind catches his mane, carrying his scent, earth, rain, and memory. You stand there long after they've gone, the morning alive with birdsong and light. The years have come full circle. The cry that once begged for help has returned as a roar of gratitude. And for the first time in a long time, you lift your head and let the wind carry your answer. Because love, even in the wild, always finds its way home. The sun climbs high over the valley, washing the world in a warm, forgiving light. You stand at the edge of the clearing, watching the tall grass sway in waves that shimmer like liquid gold. The lion and his pride have vanished beyond the horizon, yet the earth still trembles faintly where they passed, as though the land itself remembers their presence. You return to your shelter near the old cabin, your legs heavy but your spirit strangely light. The silence feels full, no longer empty, as if the world is breathing alongside you. The scent of the lion lingers in the air, wild, powerful, and achingly familiar. It wraps around you like a memory, comforting instead of haunting. The days that follow are peaceful, touched by something you can only describe as grace. The rangers who still visit the edge of the reserve notice paw prints around the cabin, but find no signs of struggle. One of them kneels beside the tracks, smiling faintly. "Looks like the old dog's got guardians," he murmurs before leaving. And he's right. You begin to notice them, golden shadows at the edges of twilight, distant silhouettes watching from the hills. Sometimes at dawn, you catch a glimpse of movement beyond the trees. The lion standing sentinel, his mane catching the early light, his pride resting nearby. They never approach too close, but they're always there. At first you think it's coincidence, but as the weeks roll on, a pattern emerges. When you venture toward the watering hole, the lionesses appear at a distance, keeping watch. When jackals prowl too near, they scatter before you even growl. The wild that once threatened now protects. Each night, the sounds of the savannah return. Crickets, owls, the soft rhythm of life breathing again after so much loss. You find peace in those sounds, curling up beneath the acacia as the stars bloom overhead. You are old now, your eyes dim, your movements slow. But you feel safe, not because danger has vanished, but because loyalty has taken its place. One evening, a storm brews far away, its lightning just a flicker on the horizon. You lie still, listening. From somewhere deep in the dark, a single roar rises, long, steady, unbroken. It echoes through the valley, rolling across the grass and into your chest. You recognize it instantly. His voice. The cub who became a king, calling out not for help this time, but in tribute. You tilt your muzzle toward the wind, letting the sound settle around you like a lullaby. You close your eyes, and for a moment you're back in the storm years ago. The rain, the thorns, the tiny heartbeat pressed against your chest. You saved a cub once. Now an entire pride saves you. And as the night deepens, you understand what the wild has been trying to tell you all along. That kindness leaves echoes louder than any roar. In the distance, the pride moves under the moonlight, graceful, eternal. And above them the sky opens wide, endless and forgiving. But just before sleep claims you, you hear it once more. Soft steps near your side, followed by the faintest sound of breath. You smile, even without looking. You know who it is. The circle is complete. The savannah lies still beneath a sky, painted in hues of amber and violet. The heat of the day has faded, leaving behind a cool, gentle breeze that stirs the grass like a whispered prayer. The great herds have moved on. The rivers have found their quiet rhythm again, and the land, once torn by storms and struggle, breathes in peace. You rest beneath the acacia tree where it all began. The air carries the scent of rain and earth, and in that fragrance lives every memory. The cry of a cub in the storm, the laughter of life learning to trust, the thunder of paws returning home. Your eyes grow heavy, but not from weariness. It is contentment that weighs them down now. Far across the valley, a lion stands atop a rise, mane glowing in the last light of dusk. Around him his pride settles for the night. He lifts his head once more, gaze turned toward the tree where you lie. The distance between you is wide, but the bond bridges it effortlessly. His low, steady roar rolls through the air, not of dominance, but of gratitude, a song for the one who taught him compassion before he learned to rule. You close your eyes, letting the sound wash through you. The wind hums softly in the tall grass, carrying voices of the wild that will never fade. The danger has passed, peace has returned, and the savannah rests once more. The stars bloom above like watchful eyes, ancient and kind. The night settles calm and eternal,